it's your old pal Slim, and welcome to a special bonus episode of 70mm, a podcast for film fans just like you. Disclaimer as always, obviously with this movie, we're not experts, but we love watching movies.
We're also not religious experts.
Right off the bat, we should just include that too. Maybe on the episode artwork too, just to fend off any potential attacks. With me as always, you heard him already, is artist Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our spiritual advisor, Alexis.
I'm going to read John 3:16 from the Bible.
I know where they are. They're in heaven. This is our first bonus episode of the main feed since one of the best ever, The Simpsons: A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh my gosh.
Remember that? Planet of the Mapes? Who can forget when I
was that this year?
That was this year, yeah.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Literally weeks ago. But, some backstory. We were listening, at least Proto and myself. I think someone had posted in our Discord about the Left Behind episode that we did last year with Kirk Cameron. What was the theme for that month? Was it religious month?
Didn't we do?
What was
Is that why we did it?
I think it was. I think we did a religious themed month.
Passion.
I don't remember
what we did.
I had some catchy name for it, but I can't remember what it was.
What was it called?
I'm looking it up.
Passion of the Christ, but
2023 wasn't.
We did the Last Temptation.
Last Temptation, yeah. Blasphemy month.
Actually, our doc doesn't say it. Holy Religion Spiritual Month. So I might have to look in Spotify.
What did we call it?
The Last Temptation of 70mm.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Genius.
That was your last. Remember your art for The Last Temptation of Christ with Willem Dafoe? Oh my God.
That was a fun one. That still might be one of my favorites.
Yeah, mine too. So we were listening to that episode and we just had a fun time talking about Left Behind. It was a fun episode to listen back to, a lot of laughs. It wasn't a great movie necessarily, but I had fun watching it. And then, we're doing a Nicolas Cage episode later this week. We haven't recorded it yet for Gone in 60 Seconds. So we're going to be doing, a little Nicolas Cage retrospective because he did a remake of that movie, Left Behind, which evidently the books have sold 65 million copies, Danny, the Left Behind book series.
There are more than one?
Oh, there's a bunch, my friend. The Tribulation Force, remember them? Proto?
Uh-huh.
Something about that.
Yeah. There's also, I sent you guys a screenshot. There's more movies, from this series.
This one, yeah.
Left Behind series. There is a Tribulation Force movie. So we got a lot of runway with this series.
Isn't her last line in this film like setting up the sequel?
It definitely seems that way. Like they essentially say like, we have a lot of work to do, or something like that. Like, and the movie ends. Spoilers.
There are more Left Behind.
Yeah, but Nicolas Cage doesn't come back. It's like Kevin Sorbo is the star of the next movie.
It's the perfect replacement. It's like when Indiana Jones is swapping the idol for the bag of sand. Like,
Kevin Sorbo is the bag of sand.
Kevin Sorbo's the bag of sand.
So when Left Behind had come out, it was, remember, I think in that episode, I billed it as the biggest and most ambitious Christian film ever made. And believe it or not, both of these movies are directed by someone with the first name of Vic, V-I-C. Can you believe it? What are the chances of that? Has it ever happened?
I don't even know.
There's
not even a joke I could make about this. Can't even figure it out. I honestly thought it was the same person since they were both named Vic.
Right. This Vic is apparently like a stunt director.
Stunt legend.
Really?
He has a Academy Award for Technical Achievement in Stunts. He has a BAFTA. He doubled for Harrison for all 3 Indiana Jones films. Harrison for Blade Runner and for Return of the Jedi. Like, this guy, anytime you see the side by side with Harrison and his stunt double, this is Vic Armstrong.
My God!
Wow.
The like famous signed photo that Harrison gave to him says something like, "I hope you don't learn how to speak or I'm out of a job." Something like that. And he doubled like top 10 stunt of all time was when he jumped from that horse to the tank in Indiana Jones. Like, that was Vic. That's the director of this movie.
Wow.
I'm looking at set
He even
photos.
doubled for Christopher Reeves in Superman.
Mamma mia. I mean, he's a stud in this one photo. My God.
He is a stud. He looks amazing.
This set photo from the second Indiana Jones to our DMs. Look at this guy.
I think he was even in Bond films as a double.
So right from Indiana Jones to faith-based, biggest and most ambitious Christian film ever made, starring Nicolas Cage, Left Behind, 2014. Yeah.
He's still working too. He was second unit director on the Rings of Power movie or TV show.
Really? Okay. Guy's getting around. Sheesh.
That was my first note. So you guys are.
We just went through all of Danny's notes, just in the pre-discussion. Okay, so let's hear some backstory about this movie, Pardo. What is this Left Behind reboot starring Nicolas Cage?
Well, this movie came out in 2014, and the first Left Behind movie that we covered came out in 2000. So 14 years later, the producers, screenwriters had a lot of time to reflect on what worked in the previous movie and what they could do. So when they considered the script, sorry, I have like a child. Can you hear that Albie screaming? Okay. We'll get through this.
This is like when Left Behind happened.
This is the magic of a lunchtime record for 70mm. This is how the sauce is made, folks.
So, the producers thought, what if instead of covering everything that the 2000 movie covered, what if we just covered the first quarter, maybe the first 15 minutes of that movie? What if we made this an action thriller about landing an airplane more than anything else? So what we have here is we have 110 minutes of Nick Cage attempting to land an airplane. What also has transpired in this time is that people have vanished, been raptured, possibly. They don't really get it too far into it. We get some speculation that it might involve God. This could be Christians being taken away. That revelation comes near the end of the movie. But Nick Cage is a pilot, Raymond Steele. He's flying this airplane. He has Chad Michael Murray, who is easily the most high-profile journalist in the world. People are begging for his autograph left and right. And they got to land this plane because the world, since it's taken off, has gone to the can, and there's no help on the ground other than Raymond Steele's daughter, who will move heaven and earth and in a paver to get this plane on the ground. And that's Left Behind.
How about the special effects of that scene when that plane is trying to land towards the end of the movie?
They put all their money into that. I think that was the effects budget, and it couldn't have gone worse for them.
110 minutes, nearly 2 hours of, you're right, what is essentially the first 10 minutes of the original movie. Like, I kept waiting for the rest to happen in this movie, but it was just all them on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of shocked by what didn't happen in this movie. Like, this is the most mainstream milquetoast version of Left Behind that has ever been made, I felt like. The original Left Behind, is obviously not a great movie, but I had a fun time watching it. But there's a lot going on. There's you have the Antichrist trying to take over the entire world through, geopolitical means. In this movie, you have Nicolas Cage reading the Bible after people get maybe raptured. And there's just not much going on in this movie. You're right, bro. There's just not a lot here.
Yeah, it was shocking too, because I agree. The first movie isn't a great movie from 2000, but at least it was a lot of fun. When I listened back to that conversation and remembering the different scenes and all the stuff that happens in that, even the Israel stuff, the wheat growing.
Yeah.
Nikolai Carpathia, the Antichrist appearing, the conspiracy, meeting the guy in the parking lot with the hard drive, whatever was going on with that, all that stuff. At least it was fun and wacky and goofy, and it kind of made for a fun time. it's a completely neutered version of that, and really almost like trying to remove the like Christian aspect of it, which is so bonkers to me. Like, I would have thought this movie was going to go harder with all this stuff, and it's the complete opposite. I was shocked.
I think the hardest it goes is the very beginning when that lady buys that book from the book stand and she confronts Chad Michael Murray in the airport. I'm like, oh, here we go. We are 5 minutes in, and she is laying the fear mongering of Christianity on thick right now. And this is going to be the whole movie. And that's like it. Like, there's really nothing else that's like shoving the rapture down your throat this entire film. They even have the same black minister that she shows up to. And that's really not even like a big moment. I thought it would be like something more, I don't know, profound maybe. I don't even know what I expected from this film.
Whatever it was, we didn't get it.
How did this film make the first Left Behind look like a masterpiece? Like the first Left Behind felt like the best movie to book film that was ever created after this.
It does. This makes the first Left Behind look like Fellowship of the Ring in retrospect. And I guess, like, you know, maybe they thought this was going to be the right move. Like, we went too hard with the original Left Behind and nobody liked it. But what if we just like subtly go hard and just lightly mention the rapture and the Bible? Maybe we'll like bring in more people to the fold that way. But even like the most Christian aspect of it is that like crazy woman in the airport. Like,
that's it.
That's the memory you have of Christianity in this movie. It's that like angry Karen yelling at the greatest journalist of all time, Chad Michael Murray, in an airport, and she gets eviscerated. Like, that's not the best foot forward that I think that we want to present for kind of bringing people in.
Weird.
Yeah, the only other thing is maybe the daughter and her mom, Leah Thompson, having a little confrontation about her mom being like super fanatical. But then, I mean, she gets raptured pretty early on. You know, once the
Leah's
rapture takes
gone.
place, she's gone. And that's it.
But also, like, even Leah Thompson's character is kind of annoying. Like, she's on the outs with her mom because she's, I guess, like born again or whatever you would want to call it. And that's why Nicolas Cage, the husband, is like on the outs. And then she goes to see her mom for a long time, but the mom immediately goes into, you need to wake up and follow God. Like, what are you doing? She like does exactly what she's annoyed by. And like, as a viewer, you're like, yeah, she's kind of annoying actually.
Yeah.
So not a lot happening was kind of my first point. And we already heard Danny's first point about Vic Armstrong, stunt legend. Perdo, what's at the top of your list?
Yeah, I have so many just like bullet points about things that don't make much sense. I guess I still can't get over that the whole movie is in the airplane.
Yeah.
In some ways, it feels like they're trying to make a like Roland Emmerich disaster movie.
Red Eye.
Out of this. Yeah, it's like, what if there's a disaster on an airplane? But instead of having like 4 major action set pieces throughout the movie, you have like one tiny one at the very end of the movie. And the whole movie is like people on an airplane being upset because people vanished. Even just like everything that's going on in the airplane isn't that interesting. There's a bunch of characters, but they're all so like pigeonholed into stereotypes of just
Literally,
like freaking out of like, you know, you have like a conservative, I don't know, the little guy, I forget that actor's name. What's that? Is that
from Pirates of the Caribbean?
I can't find him. But everyone would know him if they saw him. And he's like getting upset at this guy who's most likely a Muslim on the airplane. And there's all these little moments, but even that, like, that's like such a classic thing, I think, to put in a movie like this, like for a Christian screenwriter to have in here. But it doesn't even go anywhere with all of like those little fights on the airplane. It's such like a waste of time. It was like this movie was wasting our time until it could get to like be long enough to qualify as a movie, and then they land the plane and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
I was praying for the rapture just so I'd have to finish this film.
Get me out of here.
I mean, it's like a 1.7 on Letterboxd.
That's high.
The actor that Proto was thinking of was Martin Kleba, actor and stunt performer. And when like we talked about like doing the Left Behind reboot, Nicolas Cage, like, yes, we're doing Gone in 60 Seconds. Okay, it makes sense to do another Nicolas Cage movie as a fun bonus episode. And then I looked at the average rating on Letterboxd and I was like, oh God, did we make a terrible mistake?
We did. We did.
Because like I remember hearing about Nicolas Cage being in this movie, and let me see if I can pull up his filmography for around this time. But like, you know, this isn't necessarily the heyday of Nicolas Cage. People are always talking about Nicolas Cage back. Like every time Nicolas Cage does a Neon or A24 movie, they're like, oh, Nicolas Cage back. Like he's been making movies for years. He has not stopped. You're back at realizing that he's making movies still. So like I'm still scrolling to see when the hell this movie came out on his Letterboxd. My God, how long do I have to scroll? Ghost Rider had come out.
Banger.
Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance was 2011. And he had done maybe 8 movies since then. Outcast, Rage, Frozen Ground, The Croods, Stolen, Left Behind. And then he's got Dying of the Light, The Runner, Pay the Ghost, Trust, Dog Eat Dog. Have you ever heard of those movies?
I have not heard of any of these movies.
So, and he's got maybe 30 movies since this time frame. So this guy is nonstop. But I remember when this had come out and it was like Nicolas Cage Left Behind movie. I was like, what the F is he doing a Left Behind movie for? But apparently, I guess his brother is or was a pastor. And that was like one of the reasons why he was attached to this project.
Nick Cage's brother was a pastor?
That's what I heard.
Coppola?
I don't know what
another
the name of the
Coppola
brother was. Could have been Coppola. Who knows? Danny, next on your list.
Well, God, I got a lot of little things I want to talk about. The rapture happening was almost laughable. I mean, I laughed when she's hugging her brother and he turns into just a pile of clothes in her arms. I busted out laughing. Yeah. It was incredible. And I love this idea. I don't remember the Left Behind first movie. When people were raptured, did they leave piles of clothes behind?
Yes.
They did? Okay.
Nude rapturing. Remember?
Nude rapturing. What an awesome thing. I hope that's how I go. Just nude raptured.
But also like she's hugging her little brother and there's like a moment where he's gone, but the clothes are still in the position that he's in for like, it felt like way too long. Then the clothes fall to the ground. It's like,
so
what was holding those clothes up?
It is funny too, because I feel like when I'm watching this, waiting for that moment, I feel like this is like the most obvious moment that you know is going to happen and an opportunity to do something kind of interesting to show like what effect this would have in the world. And actually neither of these movies did this. Like, and maybe it's just like a budget thing, but like, you know, just showing different scenes around the world, like, you know, Times Square, all of a sudden piles of clothes drop, or like in a baseball stadium, or like not even a baseball stadium, how about like a high school basketball game, just bleachers and people's clothes, like give us something. But there's almost like barely anything. Like that moment was so anticlimactic as a viewer, just knowing it's going to happen. And it just kind of being like her hugging her little brother and him like, and she's like, ugh, and he's gone. It was so lame.
It's such a bad cut too. You see like the film like jump.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then also it happens at that mall. And then, you know, people are freaking out because everyone's been raptured. And that's when like chaos starts in society immediately. But like, I guess the mall was their second set piece besides the plane, because almost everything is filmed in this mall parking lot. And there's a scene where it looks like there's 9,000 people running around the mall parking lot, like in a panic. Like, where did all these people come from? How many people can fit in this mall? And then that means maybe double that were alive in this mall a minute ago. And half of them got raptured. Like They didn't have the budget to make any sense of this stuff.
You'd think it'd be easier to have less people on set, budget wise.
You don't even need 1,000 extras. You can do 20, just like stumbling out of the mall, and you have the shot. That's all you need. And then also, she gets mugged like 5 minutes later. Society has crumbled so fast in 5 minutes that not just one person mugs her; it's a team of two. They work together to mug her and steal her purse on a motorcycle.
Oh, yeah. The moped drive-by to steal her purse. Like, all right, so people have just vanished from the earth. And now I'm going to get on my moped and I'm just going to start stealing purses.
Yeah.
Like, this is my plan.
It's the worst plan. You could just go to the clothes. Just go to any pile of clothes. You have money. You don't even need to mug anyone. Just mug the clothes.
There's wallets all over the ground.
Seriously. So dumb.
I did love I mean, there were so many ridiculous scenes, but like she gets out into the parking lot. Somehow she makes it out there. And then there is a biplane that I guess the pilot vanished out of. And it hits her car in the parking lot. Like, of all the things that could possibly happen that could go wrong in this moment, someone gets raptured out of their airplane and it hits her car. Amazing.
Silly. How horny for Chad Michael Murray was she when they first met? Remember, like, they spent...
Chad has that power.
Half the movie was them flirting at the airport before they even took off. Chad Michael Murray was like, remember she laughed? She's like, I love that
Maybe
laugh.
he becomes the Antichrist.
Oh my God.
That's his powers.
I like this twist.
That would be interesting. Chad Michael Murray is the mouth-breathing Carpathia.
I watched every single episode of One Tree Hill, so I love Chad Michael Murray.
Walk us through One Tree Hill to Left Behind.
There's no
in
way.
5 minutes if you can.
There's no way.
What was the plot of One Tree Hill? I don't remember.
It was high school, horny high schoolers with abusive parents and alcoholic fathers.
Dang.
You know?
Was Chad Michael Murray was he wearing A shirts constantly? Or like
they played on a basketball team, so they're always in basketball jerseys.
Showers, slapping asses.
Yeah. Group showers.
I was kind of bummed that they didn't focus on the Buck character for the most part. Like, he's barely...
Which one's Buck?
Buck is Chad Michael Murray. He plays Kirk Cameron's character. He was just kind of like an also-ran. He wasn't as important this time around, but the pilot was it. And they worked together. Remember, like, they're in the cockpit for most of the movie figuring things out.
Yeah. Yeah, Buck, he could, he's such a professional that he's on the airplane, but he's still in the journalistic mindset. Like, he's pulling out his Nikon camera. He's getting footage. He's getting pictures of what's taking place. He's getting up on the clothing. Oh yeah, like the woman is crying that her husband disappears, and he's like videotaping her. Like, how are you feeling right now?
It's so bad.
Look me in the eyes.
It's like, what video journalist is that footage? Does that even exist? Is some guy walking around with a DSLR and just filming things?
I mean, for
he's
him,
a journalist?
It's only happened to them, right? So it's not worldwide. So he's like, thank God I'm the one that's on the plane, the world's best journalist, and the plane just happens to lose half the people.
I thought the music was pretty bad in this movie too. Like, the whatever Christian rock that they were playing. Like, there's one where they're in a car driving, and it played for 10 seconds, and I was like, what is this?
It's not even, here's the crazy part. It's like, it's bad CCM music, but they don't even license the actual songs. So it's covers of bad CCM.
And what is CCM again?
Contemporary Christian music. Don't do this to me.
I'm just saying.
To me, it sounded like freestyle jazz rock, what I was hearing. I never heard anything like it in a movie before.
So bad.
The thing that's the worst part is the credits when it rolled. The song "I Wish We'd All Been Ready." I knew every word to that song.
Oh my God!
Wow.
How about the was it the British chick who thought she was like having a bad trip on the plane?
I don't
Remember
even
she was wearing those
understand that
sunglasses?
storyline.
Yeah, that was
The
crazy.
sunglasses. Like, I'm like, what is, you know, something's going to happen with this girl. She comes on the plane with sunglasses.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, oh, maybe she's a famous celebrity, but it ends up she's just having a bad
Maybe
trip.
she's the Antichrist.
Right. If she would have been raptured, if she wasn't a drug addict,
Exactly.
You do
if
the
she
math.
believed.
Oh, speaking of belief, I wrote down my favorite. Sorry, we're jumping around, but
Please.
my favorite line in this was when they're about to crash or land the plane, and he's like on the announcement, and he's like, "And if you believe in prayer," like if they believed in prayer, they wouldn't be there,
It's true.
Nick.
Nick
They
would
would have
go.
been raptured.
If you have begun to believe in prayer in the last 30 minutes,
Well, that's what one of my notes was like, why would you even want to find God at this point? You're stuck on earth. Like you weren't raptured. Is there rumors of a rapture
Well-
part 2? Like that you might get taken again? Let it
I'm not
out,
getting
Danny.
into this.
No?
I'm not getting
Danny's
into this.
open the good book.
You gotta read it. It's all in the text.
Do your own research.
I refuse. I'll ask ChatGPT later to give me an answer on that question. How about when she was like ready to give up? She's alone. There's nobody left, not even Chad Michael Murray.
Oh my God.
She walks to that bridge and just like stands at the top. The color grading in that scene was wild. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish with like nighttime,
gorgeous.
sunset, purple hues. It was very bizarre. But then she gets that phone call from Chad. What a moment.
They were testing out the dome in that scene.
The first ever Disney Dome music.
Yeah.
Their
Christian
intern's
Dome.
first time using Blender.
Pardo, anything else on your list?
Yeah, it's mostly just I guess some notes. There's a scene. Yeah, so it's funny how just like the daughter scenes were kind of like the action moments of her trying to escape. There's one scene where this is like it feels like it's a few hours after the rapture takes place, and then she's like going under a bridge, and then like suddenly an EMS vehicle like flies off the bridge
Yeah,
into
what?
the
It
water.
was a bus, I think.
It was a
It
small
was like
bus.
a cheap school bus.
Yeah, small, but and it's like, wait, like, why would that happen at this point? Has that bus lost its driver and it's been going off this
Yeah.
whole time?
It's been in the driving the whole time.
I mean, in terms of like getting a first class flight, like this flight pays dividends. Like the investment at this point of flying first class. I've never flown
good
first
point.
class, but those seats looked amazing.
That was one of my first notes. These seats look amazing. It looked great.
Yeah, like was that a real airplane? Do seats look like that in first class?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dang.
I've flown first class plenty of times.
Oh,
you know?
excuse you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Just kidding. I have been down in a lay down first class once.
Wow. How was that experience?
Felt great.
How long was the flight? How long were you in those seats?
Chicago to Orlando.
10-minute flight.
3 hours.
Oh my God.
Speaking of 10-minute flight, how about that conversation about flying to New York to London in 6 minutes?
Yes.
That was dumb.
No one is making that jet ever.
No.
It's insane.
Yeah, the cast of characters on the plane, like if you're going to spend 2 hours on a plane, you better have some good characters on that plane. And they didn't have any of these good B characters. Like I didn't give a crap about any of them.
Yeah. And then the woman who thinks that her husband like hired everyone on the plane to kidnap
Oh my
his
God.
daughter away from her. Just a
That's
disaster.
CCM artist Jordan Sparks.
Is that real?
Really?
Yes.
Did they contribute to the soundtrack
She did,
of this
yeah.
movie? Oh.
Oh, I
Danny
thought I
knows a
recognized
lot
that.
more about this movie than he's letting on. There's so
Listen.
many nuggets that Danny's aware of.
When you work through religious trauma, these
Uh-huh.
films really dig it back up for you.
Right. I said my first note is even the credits feel cheap. Like just from the credits, I realized that. Like I think that was the moment where I checked the LB rating. I was like, ugh, what did we do? When Nicolas Cage came on screen, I wrote, "My God, he looks incredible in that pilot outfit."
Was it pilot?
I never wear it when I fly. Obviously lying, Nick. Oh yeah, how about the potential affair with the stewardess? That was like a major plot point
With U2 tickets.
in that first movie, but this one Not quite. Because doesn't that woman turn evil? She works for Oh wait, you guys didn't watch the rest of the movies.
She turned evil?
Yeah, she was working for Carpathia, the Antichrist, later in the movies.
That does happen in the first one, because remember she's like at the UN and she's like gets the job, and you're like, wait, why is she here? This stewardess?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She sticks it to him. You know, a sixth part of me would want to watch a second and a third movie with Nicolas Cage, you know, still in the Left Behind universe.
Yeah. I mean, I'd watch it.
Yeah. I think that's like all the notes that I have. Also, when who's the actor? When Martin Kleba gets kicked off the plane,
dude, by the Muslim guy down the.
God,
I rewound it to watch it again.
That was a hell of a stunt.
That was brutal.
That was crazy. I don't know how to rate this. I mean, this is just not good. It wasn't even really kind of like fun, entertaining, like I thought Left Behind was. This might be 1 star for me for Left Behind 2014 and Nicholas and the gang. Danny, anything else on your list? Final rating?
There's a moment when I don't know why. What's the little person's name again?
Martin Kleba.
When Martin Kleba is going through the Muslim's bag, and it does a match cut when he pulls out a gun and the gunshot goes off, but it cuts to back down on the ground to the guy robbing the store, and he gets shot by the shotgun.
Oh.
I thought, did the Muslim just shoot?
Right.
Like, I couldn't believe that they did that. Like, cut scene. It blew my mind.
Makes you think.
That guy getting shot though at the store, and then that guy with the shotgun holding the gun to her face, the shotgun. Like, I couldn't even believe that scene.
Dead. I'm at 1 star. I have to be at 1 star. I have to at least rate it so that it brings this rating down more. Wow. This was just boring. That's the thing. Like, the first Left Behind wasn't boring. Mm-hmm. It at least was like an insane, ridiculous watch. This was just like, this is dumb. Yeah. I don't even understand it. It's boring.
Yeah, it's a total waste. It feels almost like a COVID movie. Like they were like, all right, we only can use 2 sets. We'll just make the whole movie on the airplane. But this is 2014. They made this. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of notes where it's just like, I can't believe this whole movie is taking place on this plane. Like, what a total waste. Just remake the previous one. Use steal that script and just do that. The only other thing that I wanted to mention was I thought it was so funny how like Nicolas Cage's character is like piecing together what happened, and he like gets certain clues. And one of the clues is that his co-pilot had a watch that said John 3:16 on the dial. It all made sense in that moment.
But then also, didn't he like open a Bible and start reading John 3:16, and then it's like, I know where they are.
Yeah, it's like a Bible study note or something that he opens. Oh my God.
Yeah, master detective.
I think I gave the first Left Behind 2 stars, and watching this made me want to like retroactively bump that movie up because relatively, like, this is so bad. Like, this has to be 1 star. It's offensive how boring this movie was.
This is like the bar. Next time you're thinking about rating a movie 1 star, you have to be like, true. Is it better or worse than Left Behind 2014?
Yeah.
You know?
Kirk Cameron putting on a masterclass in that first movie.
Robert De Niro of faith-based films, Kirk Cameron. What was the movie? You talked about it in our recent episode, but in the trailer that you saw, wasn't there another faith-based movie coming out?
Sorbo, yes.
It was Sorbo.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. They're in a jail with Cuba Gooding Jr. and some guy.
The Firing Squad.
Yeah. He's up for like death for some reason. It looked like it was filmed on an iPhone and then uploaded to YouTube. The trailer's so bad.
I don't know if this is the trailer that I overheard, because it just was like talking about, I'm walking to my seat and it just felt like an obviously faith-based film.
Yes.
Like I turned my head to like, what is going on with this trailer? So there is definitely a market, you know, for these movies.
Mel Gibson's like faith-based studio, I think. The same ones that did Sound of Freedom and
Oh. It's just interesting that all of them look like total ass.
complete ass.
So there you have it, folks. That is your complete ass addition to the library. Left Behind 2014.
I could have got to make art for this.
I can't wait to see it. Cannot wait to see
Jesus
it.
Do we need a new Patreon collection that's complete ass? Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh
This.
my
my
god,
God.
that might have been the first one.
Babes in
Christmas
Toyland.
special. Jeez, remember how Luke looked in that Christmas special with all the makeup?
Diabolical.
All right, we'll see everybody next time. Goodbye. 70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematrix. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.